Have you ever noticed how a single candle can light an entire room without ever diminishing its own flame? It doesn't guard its light, worrying it will run out. It simply shines, and in doing so, banishes the shadows for everyone. This is a story about a queen who forgot this simple truth. Once upon a time, in a kingdom nestled between misty mountains, there lived a queen named Morvana. She possessed everything the world deemed valuable. Chests overflowing with gold and jewels, silk spun from moonbeams, and a palace so tall its spires seemed to scratch the heavens. Yet, if you could have peered inside her chest, past the gold and the finery, you have found her heart was a small, cold room with no windows. She was desperately, profoundly unhappy, a prisoner to the gnawing fear that haunted her every waking moment. The fear of not having enough. This fear was a weed that had taken root in her so long ago and now choked everything else. She looked at her abundant kingdom and saw only scarcity. She saw her people's simple joys as a drain on her own. Convinced the world was a thief waiting to steal her happiness, she decided to protect it in the only way she knew how, by locking it away. And so, she devised her most infamous decree, the sun tax. A gold coin, she declared, was due to crown for every hour the sunlight fell upon a home, a field, or a face. Her soldiers patrolled with hourglasses, and the royal coffers swelled. But the kingdom itself began to wither. Soon, only the wealthiest merchants could afford the golden warmth. The farmers, the bakers, the weavers. They learned to live in a half-light of dawn and dusk, their lives dictated by the shadow of the palace. The vibrant village square, once a hub of chatter and play, grew quiet and gray. The laughter of children became a rare, almost mythical sound, a ghost of a happier past. The entire land was draped in a perpetual, gloomy shadow, a perfect, chilling reflection of Morvana's own heart. Inside the palace, Morvana was no happier. She would sit on her throne of obsidian, counting her gold coins by the weak light of a single candle. The clinking of metal was the only music in her hall. The gold was cold to the touch, and no matter how high she piled it, the hollow ache inside her only grew. She was the richest woman in the world, and yet she felt utterly impoverished. One bitter evening, as a particularly sharp wind whistled through the palace towers, she heard it, a sound so foreign it made her jump. It was a clear, bell-like, unfiltered laughter of a child. Irritation, hot and immediate, flared within her. Who dared to find joy in her gray world? Who was stealing the happiness that was rightfully hers? She stormed onto her balcony, her silk robes flowing behind her like a storm cloud, ready to summon her guards. But then she saw her. Below, in the tiny, dirt-poor garden of a woodcutter's hut, a little girl with a tattered dress was dancing. She was spinning and leaping, her arms outstretched, in a single, brilliant sunbeam that had somehow found its way through the mountain pass. Her face was turned to the light, radiant with a pure, uncomplicated joy. The queen's fury melted away, replaced by a strange, hollow ache that was far worse. Why, she thought, her hand gripping the cold stone of the balcony. Why is she so full of light with nothing, while I, with everything, am filled with nothing but darkness? The question tormented her all night. The next morning, driven by a confusion she could no longer suppress, she did something she had never done. She draped a common coarse shawl over her royal gown and slipped out a side gate, walking into the heart of the village she ruled but had never truly seen. She found the little girl's home and saw an old woman, the child's grandmother, sitting on a rickety porch, her gnarled fingers working a loom. She was weaving a tapestry. How? The queen asked, her voice barely a whisper, trembling with an emotion she couldn't name. How can you find joy in this gray world? The old weaver didn't look up from her work. Her hands never stopped their graceful, practiced dance. The world isn't gray, my dear, she said, her voice as soft and strong as worn leather. We just forget to look at the threads that connect us. You cannot steal the sun without casting your own world in shadow. A candle loses nothing by lighting another. The word struck Morvana not as an insult, but as a profound, universal truth that resonated in the deepest part of her being. She looked at the tapestry. One side was a chaotic mess of dark, tangled threads, blacks, grays, and deep blues. It looked hopeless. But as her eyes traveled across the loom, she saw the pattern emerge. The weaver was now using those very dark threads as the background, and with brilliant golds and shimmering yellows, she was creating the most stunning sunrise. The darkness hadn't been discarded. It was essential. It was what made the light seem so brilliant, so victorious. That night, Queen Morvana didn't count her gold. She stood on her balcony, but this time she wasn't looking at her treasures. She was looking out at the dark, silent village. And for the first time, she didn't see disobedience or poverty. She saw her own shadow. She saw the consequence of her hunger. She heard the weaver's voice again. A candle loses nothing by lighting another. The very next day, a new proclamation rang through the kingdom. The sun tax was abolished, effective immediately. But Morvana didn't stop there. She opened her vast treasure chests, not to add to them, but to empty them. She commissioned the kingdom's finest artisans to forge enormous, beautiful mirrors of polished bronze. They were placed strategically on the mountain slopes, angled to catch the sun's full glory and reflect it, pouring liquid gold into every valley, every alley, and every humble home. The change was immediate and breathtaking. The village didn't just brighten. It erupted in color and sound. Flowers burst into bloom as if making up for lost time. Crops grew tall and strong, promising a harvest like no other. And the air, once so silent, was filled with the music of lutes and the unrestrained laughter of children playing in the light. And a strange, wonderful thing happened to Morvana as she watched her kingdom flourish. She felt a warmth spread through her own chest, thawing the icy room that had been her heart. The joy of her people became her joy. Their prosperity became her true wealth. She had spent her life searching for enough, and she finally found it, not in a chest, but in a shared sunrise. And so, dear viewer, the lesson is this: what you withhold from others, you withhold from yourself. True abundance isn't about hoarding the light. It's about having the courage to become a mirror and reflect it. Can you think of one sunbeam in your life, a talent, a kind word, a little bit of extra time that you can reflect onto someone else today? You might just find it lights up your own world in ways you never imagined. And if this story resonated with you, share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Let's fill the world with tales of wisdom. Subscribe to this channel if you find this content interesting.